Hi, so welcome to Life with a Side of Autism. Today I have two special gifts and we are going to do a video, makeup beauty guru first impression style. So if you want to see more, stay tuned. Hi everybody, welcome back to Life with a Side of Autism. I have two really special guests with me today, just two of my very long time Autmigas. I have Michele with me, who's one of my OG Autmigas, and Michele is here, and then Lorri, also a long time Autmiga. So Lorri is the CEO of CAS, the Council of Autism Service Providers, and she used to be the Vice President of Governmental Affairs with Autism Speaks. And so we're happy to have Lorri. And then Michele is just my longtime friend. Our children pretty much grew up together, and she is just well known for being a parent advocate in our home state. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
All
Thanks for having us.
So do you guys watch any YouTube beauty videos at all?
Not so much.
Okay. You?
Not so much until I started talking to you about beauty videos.
All right.
And you showed me some.
Yeah,
They're fascinating.
I watch a lot of beauty videos, and one of my favorite things is, somebody will get a box in the mail and they'll say, I'm just going to do first impressions, and they just open up the box and they just look at the product and they just touch it, feel it, smell it, try it on, and give their impressions of it.
Okay.
Like 10 hours later, it could be falling off their face and they hate it, but if they like the way it went on, their first impression. So that's what I wanted to do with you guys today.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you just a couple things that are just kind of out there in the autism sphere and just get your thoughts on them. So I'll show it to you, and then for our audience, we'll actually pop it up on the screen so they can see it. Okay, so here's the first one. This is kind of going around. I'm seeing it a lot.
Autism is not a disability, it's a different ability.
Yes. So I've been seeing that going around a lot. So, and let's all, be honest and feel free to agree or disagree, but just, who wants to go first? What do you feel about that?
Well, I think that autism is such a broad spectrum that if you're very mildly affected, you may really identify with that, and that's okay. But if you have some really significant challenges that do disrupt your daily life, that kind of is the definition of a disability. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't make you worse than other people or less valuable than other people. Mm-hmm. It's nothing to be ashamed of to have a disability. We all have challenges and things that disrupt our daily life that we all need to work on. But I think that might not be everybody's experience, and I don't know that everybody would necessarily agree with that statement or identify with that statement.
All right.
And I think if you feel like your experience is something where you want treatment and you need treatment and intervention to help you live a better life on a daily basis, you have much right to that as someone who says, you know what, I don't. I'm good. I'm happy with how I'm functioning, and I don't need anybody else to intervene.
All right. But this is not going out by self-advocates. This is going out by parents. All right. So what do you think about this?
What she said.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, I do. Because autism is such a spectrum, and I live through my children both ends of that spectrum in our family, in our household. My youngest, who is on the Asperger / milder end of the spectrum, has given me permission to share his journey, and for him, I would say that's true, that autism has enhanced his life and given him skills that are really incredible and special and precious, and he would very much view it as a different kind of ability. But for my oldest son, it really does impair his ability to live a functional life. He's nonverbal, and he's aggressive, and he's sometimes self-injurious. So, right, it just depends on your personal experience with what kind of autism are you experiencing or grappling with.
So this one, like when I first saw it, it kind of hit, and then it was coming out a lot. I was seeing a lot of it, and there's like a million different designs and forms of this. I think it's being put on t-shirts, but it really kind of hit me where I was like a little bit panicked at first, because I thought, oh no, like autism is a disability, and hello, you fought for a long, long time, and so did you, to make autism a disability, so healthcare would treat it as a disability, and our loved ones could get treatment. So I think this makes me a little bit of nervous, and I think it does kind of play into the stereotype of like everybody has a superpower,
Right.
like Rain Man.
Right.
Yeah.
So this for me, I was just like I just feel like, autism is a disability. It doesn't mean that the person's like worth less than somebody, but like sometimes I just feel like, we all want to be positive and sugarcoat things. So I just really struggled with this, but it just the whole saying it's not a disability really kind of made me a little bit panicked. Like I'm like, oh, it is a disability insurance company. It is a disability, and these, that was just kind of my thought.
Disability.
Yeah.
And I get your panic, and that kind of makes me nervous too, because some of our loved ones need so many resources, and they're so scarce. They really are. And so if we switch to that, to that global attitude for everyone with autism, it really could hurt a lot of individuals being able to access things they need. And I think that's not to say too, like my Ellie is in the middle of the spectrum. She is verbal, and there are a lot of things about her autism that make her funny and fun, and I love, and I would never want to change about her. But that doesn't mean she doesn't still have a disability. So in some ways, her autism is a gift, and in some ways, her autism is something that really impairs her. And I think that statement does kind of simplify it a little bit too much, because they are all so different and have just such varied needs. And I share your panic a little bit on that one. Yeah,
I do understand. Labels matter.
They do. Yeah.
And I remember when I was relatively new in advocating on behalf of individuals with autism, there were people who were very upset about whether autism should be called a developmental disability or not, whether it should be called a mental health condition or not. Now we're talking about whether it should be called a disability or not. And I understood in each of their individual cases, I remember one mom who said, please don't call it a developmental disability because my insurance company has an exclusion for developmental disabilities. And likewise, people said, please don't have it a mental health condition. Don't call it a mental health condition because that has a stigma around it. But what we need to do is get rid of the stigma, work to get rid of the stigma, or work to get rid of the exclusion in the policy, but don't shy away from using labels that accurately describe what the condition is.
Yeah, like my son Brad, like he will self-identify himself, and he will tell people, I have autism and I do things slower. Can you say that again? Like he will, identify and say that and ask for, help if he needs it or accommodations, and not, be. But I don't. It would be interesting to ask him if he thought he had a disability. He probably would say yes. He's a little bit slower at some things. I don't know, but
and just by definition, this is getting kind of at what Michelle was talking about. My oldest, as I said, is nonverbal. If somebody doesn't have the ability to answer the question, do you consider yourself as having a disability? Then they probably have a disability, right? A typically developing human would have the ability to answer that question and form thoughts about it, and he doesn't have that. So, that kind of nips it in the bud for me.
But I just think it's just an interesting discussion to have. So, all right. So, thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to the next one. So this has been out, and it says it's not exactly this one, but it's been other ones with more autism. But it says your worth is not measured by your productivity. So that's been going out a lot on parent. Instagram and Facebook accounts, just about when they're talking about their child with autism. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was just thinking, mine is. I bet my boss would tell you my worth is measured by my productivity.
Your worth, yes.
If I'm not productive,
right.
Then they probably don't think I'm worth very much in my job. So I guess it depends on the context.
Yeah. Well, this is being used in a context of like people with disability. So so when you think of Ryan and when you think of Ellie, when I think of Brad, all of whom, either, work, part-time. I think Brad works 10 hours a week. How many hours a week does Ellie work?
2.
2, okay.
And Ryan is at 0. He's still in school.
Yeah. Okay. But
I'll tell you, I do have thoughts on this, I guess, in the disability context. I mean, we're just now reaching the age where he could or should be working. My hope for him, despite the severity of his impairment, is that he will be able to work some. But I do have to say that if it doesn't work out for him, if it's not something that makes him feel engaged and happy, and if it's not meaningful for him, that's okay too. So I don't know why he has autism. That was God's plan, so it's not something I can answer. But I don't feel that we have to put the same work or productivity standards on every person on earth, because different people have different situations that they're dealing with.
Let me just chime in on my thoughts. Like, I think this is just so small-minded, because like, I just, for like my goals for myself is to be like the best version of myself, the best person I can be, and not really like I have to open this many centers or serve this many children, or and I hope, like, and I guess, like, as we evolve, hopefully you look at somebody and not think about what's their bank account, but like what kind of person are they, and that's what their self-worth is about. Like my son Brad, he likes his job at Goodwill, he takes pride in it and he enjoys it. It's like, wow, like what else could a mom want for their child? Like I hope everybody in the world has a job like that. And even though he just works like 9 or 10 hours a week, he's still a valuable person because he is working on being the best version of himself and reaching his full potential. I hope. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that statement kind of comes out of the fact that we live in a society that really does seem to value more, get more, gain more, earn more, have more, bigger house, more stuff. And it would be great if our society looked at every individual as far as, and valued them based on how good of a person they are and how much love they give to other people and how much they give to other people. And that doesn't necessarily mean monetary things or work-related things. I feel like my daughter has been such a valuable person to so many people in her young life because she has, because of working with her, we've had young ladies go on to medical school, go on to occupational therapy school, learn the beauty of caregiving and the fulfillment of taking care of someone and teaching them a skill and helping them live a more independent life. And I'm not sure that any amount of money can buy that for anyone else. And my grandmother worked with people with developmental disabilities through Catholic Charities, and that was my first exposure to people with developmental disabilities. And to me, she was just one of the richest women in the world. She was a tailor, and she was blue collar, and she had a tiny little house, but she was so valued in her community and did so much for other people. And I wish we celebrated people like that a lot more. I get the sentiment behind that very much, because we did have a legislator in our state say, people with disabilities don't deserve to go on vacation, and because they don't work, they don't pay for their own, what they take. And I just thought, wow, that's so morally bankrupt and so sad that you feel that way, because you're missing so much that people with disabilities of all kinds and types give to the world. And can it be measured monetarily? No, but is that all there is in life? If that's all there is in life, that's pretty sad. And if you think that's all there is to the worth of another person, that is really sad. I feel sorry for people who think that way.
Yeah. This reminds me of, I know in a lot of, I think it's kind of more in the South, but I used to hear people talk about their clients or their patients or the people that they served as consumers. And I still hate it, but I remember in 5th grade science class, and we learned about producers and consumers were caterpillars. All they did was eat. And that's what it makes me think of, when we call, people with disabilities or people needing services consumers, that we're not looking at what they give, and they do give things other, because like a caterpillar, it eats a lot of leaves, sure, but it's a butterfly in a year or whatever, and I think sometimes like we
and that
forget
gets a
that.
lot of beauty back
Yes,
to the
and
world.
maybe, I don't know if butterflies, fertilize things or pollinate things or whatever, but they're sure pretty to look at. So yeah.
So should the state call those people butterflies?
Maybe, but again, or just
So-
clients, or people need to serve. But yes, let's maybe call them butterflies.
them butterflies.
In my
Yeah.
state, I think the disability agency does call people consumers. But I think, it's difficult to know what word is best and suits
Yeah.
everyone, because I've heard people raise objections to clients. as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can't call them students because they're responsible agents.
Yes, we used to just call them kiddos. Our kiddos, it's like, well, yeah. So I mean, it was hard because like I don't love, the term necessarily patient either, because I feel like, well, they're not like really like sick. They have a disability, but they're not sick where I need to wear scrubs and a lab coat and a stethoscope. So yeah, I see that one too. So it is kind of hard, but but that's a
Maybe
tricky
one
one.
of your many viewers will write in with the best
Yes,
suggestion.
yes,
good
we definitely
suggestion.
could. Yeah. Okay.